Okay. Good evening, sir. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for agreeing to do this interview. Before we start, I will introduce myself and my co-interviewer. She would also introduce herself. So I am Okoyemi Ibukun. I'm a geomechanics specialist and also the director of Agile Petroleum. And I also happen to be the NAPE UK Europe chapter's publicity secretary. And I'm glad to interview you today. I will hand you over to my colleague to introduce herself. Please.
Okay, thank you. My name is Somime Oguntola. I'm a geophysicist with Shell Nigeria. Over to you, okay?
Thank you so much. So, of course, I know NAPE members, they know you. But we're talking today about the NAPE Annual International Conference. There'll be some non-members that don't know you. It would be nice if you could please introduce yourself. Let us know who you are, your affiliation, your name first, your affiliation, how long you've been a member of NAPE. And once you answer this, my colleague would take over to ask you about your career and how NAPE International Conference has contributed to your career. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ibuku and Somina. It's indeed a pleasure and a delight anytime you have opportunity to talk about NAPE, and it's always very heartwarming and very, very fulfilling to see how we have come and how we continue to grow and continue to impact. As rightly noted, my name is Nosa Omorodion. I'm a geologist by training. Although I equally have postgraduate degrees in petroleum engineering, project management, and lately energy management and entrepreneurship finance. So I'm an executive director with Schlumberger Companies I'm executive director for Schlumberger Companies in West Africa, with particular emphasis on what we call national directorate and independence. What that means that the national companies, the independence, new technologies, and government relations all fall within my portfolio. So I anchor all of that, the independence and national companies and for Schlumberger across West Africa, Nigeria and West Africa. So in terms of affiliation, I'm a past publicity secretary for NAPE. So exactly what you're doing. During my time as publicity secretary, one of my very, very famous alias is at no cost for NAPE. Thus, we used to do things a lot innovatively then. We go to meet companies and say, companies, pick up this cost. So it saves you the bureaucracy of you going to NAPE, paying money or whatever. And before you know it, people just come and then see this appear from nowhere. We say at no cost to NAPE. So I was publicity secretary for NAPE, during which I equally doubled as editor for NAPE News. And then later I became secretary for NAPE and then eventually president. One of the highlights that I usually like to point out then was that during the era when I was publicity secretary, we took the then NAPE newsletter. NAPE, my predecessor, Bioda Desanya, initiated the NAPE newsletter. So I took it from just a mere 2-page photocopy to a 32-page A3 magazine, which was bi-monthly. Throughout my era as public secretary, we maintained and we sustained that. We equally launched the first ever billboard during my era as NAPE public secretary. We had it on Lekki Expressway. We had it on at the airport, so that when you're coming for the conference, I mean, the first thing that's there before you driving, you see the massive billboard for NAPE. Yeah, and then my other affiliation, I'm equally a member of NMGS, a member of AAPG. So the pioneer secretary treasurer for AAPG African region, eventually became president, and until recently, I was on the advisory council of AAPG as well. So in terms of affiliation, I think that's kind of sum it up. Equally, yeah, that's sum it up. Let me limit it to NAPE, and then so whatever I talk about will be relatable to everybody.
Thank you so much, sir. So I would hand you over to Somime to continue the second part of the interview.
Yeah, thanks, okay. Thank you, Nosa, for your beautiful responses. So now we'll go to the second part of the interview, and here we would be focusing on your professional life. So how has NAPE conference, to be specific, contributed to your career and vice versa? So the first question here will be, when was your first NAPE conference?
I can't remember the first NAPE conference, but I think the first proper NAPE conference I attended must have been about 31 years ago when Dr. Lambert was the president. I was in Mobile. I was there with Mobile at Bookshop House Mobile Producing. I mean, I've attended a couple of NAPE meetings probably before then, but I think in terms of NAPE conference, I think that if I could recall, that probably could be my first proper NAPE conference held at the Federal Palace Hotel. Because I was with Mobile then, and our boss, who was the chief geologist, was, I think, the president-elect then, Dr. Lambert Akinbari.
Wow, okay. So we'll move on to get to know you better. What impact have attending NAPE conference made in your life and career?
So it's beyond me as a person, but I think it's, I really want to rephrase the question. What are the benefits of why should the upcoming geologist or geoscientist or oil finder attend the NAPE conference? The NAPE conference is a singular, for me, the NAPE conference is more or less like the Olympics for us that are in oil and gas. It's our own Olympics. It's the biggest singular gathering of not just oil and gas professionals in the industry, but those that we looked up to, those we esteemed. The NAPE conference provides the opportunity to interact. Beyond that, yeah, because one of the things you want to go look at NAPE conference is the networking, the new technology, listen to peers, colleagues, share thoughts, share ideas on better ways of exploring for oil, better ways of exploring for hydrocarbon. And then in today's world, beyond that, where the average and upcoming geologist looks beyond just geology, it affords the opportunity as well to get an insight into the business side of oil and gas. For me as a person, how has it impacted me? Tremendously, because my very early self-confidence was built towards my interaction in the NAPE conferences. Met a lot of very senior professional colleagues that have become mentors, have become friends, have impacted and continue to impact and continue to shape my careers. Very early enough, through those interactions, I knew very early enough what I wanted to do, where I want to be. So I advise any upcoming person, the NAPE conference is our own Olympics in the business of finding oil and gas. It's a place where what they call the eau de la la, the cream and the la la of the industry, that's where you meet them. Over and above that, it allows the opportunity to interact as well. Then, if you're really, really into it, it brings out something in you as well. A NAPE conference awoken something in me. Voluntary participation in the NAPE conference. I remember the very early times when I used to attend the NAPE meeting. Those days, I think when Mr. Ndefo was the president. I used to get invited through an aunt of mine, Mr. Debi, who was in then Gulf. Every time we get to NAPE conference, then we're always looking for, oh, how do you get to meet this person? What do you get to do? How do you get to be part of this organization? What can you contribute? So it bettered what I'm beginning to see today. I mean, then we didn't have YP, call us the then YP. So it helped us to mirror what we perceived our career to be, where we want to be in the oil and gas industry. So that was what the NAPE was for me. It afforded me the opportunity to hone my skills, gave me the opportunity to network, gave me the opportunity to equally build, challenge, and resonate the leadership skills in me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that yet again, and brilliant response to the question. I like the fact that you likened it to the Olympia of the oil and gas, the cream de la.
The NAPE conference is the biggest conference in oil and gas in Africa.
Yeah. Wow.
The beauty of it is that it's organized by, it's not a profit making conference like we're beginning to see that companies are coming, bring people together, all interested in money. No, the NAPE conference is impacting and impactful. And then through NAPE, we have equally been able to contribute and play our own part in correcting, aligning how the oil and gas industry should be. The membership of the NAPE leadership team and the NAPE community are all today in every facet of the government. So there is that cross-pollination. I mean, when I was NAPE president, we had a conference on addressing how to move forward the frontier basin.
Yeah.
From that conference, bettered a communique and a roadmap on the pathway forward, which today is forming the bedrock of the successes we are seeing in the frontier basin.
And I agree. I think the conference, I remember, was it the last one? We had some discussions on the petroleum industry bill that's now an act.
Exactly.
So even in terms of policy direction, there's no doubt
No, we have shaped so many. We have shaped so many. I mean, the one that we are always eager to put our hand on our chest to talk about is the marginal fields. We played our part in the deep water as well.
Yes.
So we continue to play our part in how eventually things do shape out. So that's the beauty about the NAPE conference. It's a conference put together by professionals in the industry who are worried and concerned about the field in which they play. Being the people that are the players in the field, they are in the best position to provide solutions on how to move the industry forward. Not only do we provide solutions, we equally try to follow it through. So that's the difference between the NAPE conference and the commercial conferences you see all over the place.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Nosa. So we would, in view of time, we would continue. So next question to you would be, with respect to the new world we find ourselves, new energy. We're talking about energy transition. We also been faced with this COVID crisis and all of that. So in view of all of this, we would like to hear your thoughts around if you would be attending this year's conference, and then why.
Of course, I'll be attending the conference. I mean, like every other athlete, the dream of every athlete is to attend the Olympics, right? Just like every other person, apart from being a past NAPE president and being a NAPE member, I want to be part of the Olympics as well. I'll be attending the conference. Yes, I will. I mean, the energy transition, I don't know what else you want me to say. I mean, it's the gospel on everybody's lips today. Everybody talk about it. And what I always talk about when I have the chance to talk to anybody, say, look, let us understand the concept of why we are today. Okay? It's all about energy security. Yeah. Energy security, that's what is at play. Security with respect to who? In the purview of the promoters are worried about the impact of the commercial impact of continued the commercial impact of continued
exploitation
of exploitation and importation. And while those of us that are blessed with these resources as well are we are equally trying to ensure that, look, we need to maximize what we have. Yeah. I mean, just let us be clear. The fossil fuel is not the biggest contributor to carbon emission. But why is it that there's a fossil fuel industry that everybody is out there to want to bring down? Those are questions you need to ask yourself. I like the way we've been looking at it. We've been talking about decarbonization, cleaner energy, and that's the way to go. Yeah. I'm of the view that the population explosion today in the world as it is, no one particular source can meet the needs of the growing population. Fossil fuel today cannot meet the needs of everybody. No. So biofuel cannot. There's room for both parties to play. We can have a mixture of fossil fuel and biofuel. Fossil fuel will continue to play a big part in shaping the continued industrialization and tomorrow's world. Because virtually everything, it's all essential. The clothes you're wearing, everything is all on petrochemicals. And what's the source of petrochemicals? You talk about power, The biggest source of power today is gas, right? Put off gas, electricity is gone. So, I mean, it's, I think the politics of the conversation is beginning to drown the science and the sense in the conversation. Right. And that's what we are saying. And that's why it's important that we do not allow politicians and environmentalists to hijack this conversation. Let's some common sense step in. So, I mean, everybody's talked a lot about it, so I'm not going to repeat what everybody has said. All I'll just say is that it's time for some common sense conversation, some common sense intersection in this conversation. So, like, look, everybody should step back. Hydrocarbon is going nowhere. Gas is going nowhere. In this part of the world alone, in Africa, I mean, our refining needs alone, our power needs alone can consume almost as much as we produce.
Yeah. I think there's a good, very, very good illustration. I think just to further on that discussion, that people always say that the end of Stone Age, the stone stop. The stone. Don't we still have stone? It's not like stone finished. Or the end of the Iron Age, like did not stop like the abundance of iron. But the reality is that those things, those materials that we're talking about, we are still using them to today. For example, the stone is what we use for our buildings and the concrete and all those kind of things for our construction industry. So Stone Age really has not really stopped. Iron Age has not really stopped. A lot of your steel is from iron and all that. So it's going to be the same thing for the oil industry. And I think why I'm picking from your conversation, from what you're saying, is that you want this, what you want to get from this conference is that we need to step back, think critically about the energy transition, make sure that, yes, we have the right energy mix in all of this, even with the issue of the decarbonization, of course, that's increasing, but we need to think about it in a practical way, not using emotions and then going all about it and forming the right solution, especially for Nigeria, where we need energy security.
Yeah, right.
Undoubtedly, somebody said, I can't remember who, somebody once said that the kingdom of today's world is run on oil. It's not run on morality. It's run on oil. Yeah. And that is why everybody is running around today to see what do we do with oil. Oh, I'm paying too much money to buy this oil. So let me see how I can kill this. And then now bring up a new technology that will be dependent on battery. And nobody's talking about it. By the time you take the battery technology, and when it comes to incineration, the dangers you're trying to avoid in terms of pollution, you create it through incineration as well. So it's whichever way. I mean, like you rightly said, it's time for common sense, right? It's basically a common sense conversation. Whether we accept it or not, oil is going nowhere for now. And oil alone itself and gas cannot meet the needs of the growing and expanding population and technology.
Yeah, thank you, Nosa. Just to add again, from my perspective, besides all of this, there are still some areas that we don't even have the technology to meet. So, for instance, if you look at the marine world, the aircrafts and all of that, the renewables that we're talking about or proposing can't meet the energy needs of those areas. So yeah, we are going nowhere. Fossil fuel will still be there. We just have to look for a way to make it cleaner. I think that's where, that's what we should all maybe concentrate on our efforts.
I think one of the independents, one of the Nigerian companies, recently started refining aviation fuel, which is which I think is a plus. Just to add to what you said.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Always. I think it's across board. Always a good time to learn from you anytime we have the opportunity. And this, you brought a stellar performance to this one as usual. So thank you so much. We hope.
And before we sign off, let me ask you guys, are you guys going to attend the NAPE conference as well?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Of course.
We will be there.
No.
Yes.
You just make sure you attend the Olympics, eh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sure.
Attend the Olympics, and good job you guys are doing. Good job you guys are doing. I mean, it gladdens my heart to see that the bar just keeps on getting higher and higher every time, and that's the only thing we can do. We have no other association but NAPE, and we all need to join hands together to ensure that we continue to sustain. Sustain not just the brand, but we continue to ensure that we build it beyond the way it's been handed over to us. So thank you. Good job. Feel free to reach out to me anytime if you need further clarification. I look forward to seeing both of you come November.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you, and to everyone, please.
Yes.
You've heard, Nosa. Come, interact, build your career, learn some more. Yeah. We cannot overemphasize this. We have the virtual, we have the physical version of this conference, so there is no stopping you. Come prepared and come network. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, take care. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.